Authorities in Iran say they've shot down what they're calling a US spy drone in the south of the country. The news was relayed by state media, which reported that the airborne object was a Global Hawk surveillance drone flying in Iranian airspace. This comes amid heightened tensions between Washington and Tehran. Just this week, the United States moved to deploy 1,000 extra troops to the region after 2 oil tankers were bombed in the Strait of Hormuz, an attack that the US says Iran was responsible for. Now, a series of incidents that highlight the virtual breakdown in relations between the two countries since the US pulled out of the 2015 nuclear deal, which was signed with Iran. Well, for a little more context on that story, I'm joined by International Affairs Editor Armin Georgian on set. Hi, Armin, thanks for being with us.
Hi.
Now, can you give us any more details on the incident that occurred this morning?
Well, let's talk about the dispute between Iran and the US on where this shooting down actually happened, because there's no disagreement about the fact that there was a drone that was shot down. But the key question is, where was it shot down? So the US is insisting that this happened in international airspace. The Iranians are insisting that it happened within Iran's borders. They're saying it happened over Mubarak, which is a very strategic port city. It's actually 65 kilometers northwest of Jusk, which is where those sailors were taken a week ago. It's next to the Strait of Hormuz, so very strategic because all the shipping lane goes through there for taking oil to global markets. And the Iranians have reacted very, very strongly today. The Revolutionary Guards are saying that Iran's borders are red line and we will react strongly. Some Iranian members of parliament are saying that the government of Iran should take this issue to the United Nations. So clearly we're seeing these tensions escalate further between the two countries.
And as we mentioned, this is a time of heightened tensions. It's just the latest in a series of events in that region. Can you give us a bit of background on recent incidents?
Well, of course, this comes after those oil tanker attacks. It comes after the US sent more firepower to the Middle East, including an aircraft carrier. It comes amid escalating verbal tensions and threats between the two countries. It comes just 3 weeks before a deadline runs out for the European Union, or rather the EU members who are involved in negotiating the nuclear deal, to come up with some kind of solution to the crisis that came after the US pulled out of the nuclear deal. So essentially the Iranians are saying that the Europeans are not holding up their end of the bargain, and the time really is running out for the Europeans to find a solution. It doesn't look like they have one. So if there is no solution, it means almost certainly that the Iranians will step up the enrichment of uranium, which will simply make things more difficult and more tense in the Strait of Hormuz. Just one other final element I want to add to all this. We've heard news also this morning of a Houthi rebel attack on a power plant in southern Saudi Arabia in the province of Jazan. And a Houthi military spokesman says this is revenge for 5 years of attacks on Yemeni infrastructure and the killing of civilians. So this is obviously a reference to the war between the Houthi rebels and the Gulf military alliance, which is led by Saudi Arabia. That's an important element to all this because, of course, Saudi Arabia is a key US ally. So if the White House now sees that its key ally is under attack from the Houthi rebels in this particular instance, that's just going to escalate those tensions between the US and Iran even further.